In a quiet village nestled between tall mountains and whispering forests lived a young man named Aarav. He was like many others in his village, humble, hard-working and modest. But deep within him burned a quiet desire. He wanted more from life, not riches or fame, but purpose, to become something more than what he was. Aarav worked as a helper for his father, who was an old woodcutter. Every morning before the sun rose, they would walk into the forest with their axes slung over their shoulders. The work was grueling, the rewards meager. But Aarav always believed there had to be a better way to live. One rainy evening, Aarav sat by the fire with his father, who handed him a worn-out book. "This," his father said, "was given to me by my mentor. I never finished reading it, but maybe you will." The book was about the power of consistency. Page after page told stories of ordinary people who had done extraordinary things, not because of talent or luck, but because they showed up every single day, even when it was hard. Something clicked in Aarav's heart. He realized he didn't need to be the smartest or the strongest. He just had to be consistent. The next morning, Aarav made a decision. He would become the best woodcutter in the region, not for pride, but to prove to himself that consistency could change a man's destiny. He started waking up earlier than ever before, even the birds. He sharpened his axe daily, studied the trees, and learned the best cutting angles to save time and effort. He didn't just swing harder, he swung smarter. While other young men mocked his discipline and called him obsessed, Aarav smiled and said, "I'm building something they can't see yet." Weeks turned into months. Aarav faced setbacks. Some days it rained so heavily he couldn't see the trees. Some days his hands blistered and bled. Once he dropped his axe in a stream and had to carve wood with a dull blade. He was tempted to take shortcuts, maybe skip a day or use tricks to inflate his output. But each time he remembered the stories in that old book. Success wasn't about one big act. It was the small, repeated efforts, done with care and heart. He whispered to himself every morning, one day at a time, one tree at a time. After a year, Aarav's work spoke for itself. He was no longer just the son of a woodcutter. He was the man who could clear the toughest trees, carve perfect logs, and still smile at sunset. People from neighboring villages started seeking his help. A merchant offered to buy his wood at double the usual rate. A carpenter asked him to supply exclusive timber. Aarav's name began to spread, not because he shouted the loudest, but because without hesitation, the village elder said, "There is only one man for this task, Aarav." Aarav stood stunned as he was appointed forest master, a title of great respect and responsibility. His job was no longer to cut trees, but to lead, teach, protect. He had gone from a boy with calloused hands to a leader with a vision, all because he chose to show up, day after day, even when no one noticed. At the ceremony, Aarav was asked, "What is your secret?" He smiled, pulled out the old book his father gave him and said, "There is no secret. Just show up, do the work, and trust that your efforts are planting seeds. Water them with consistency, and one day they will grow into something beautiful." Aarav returned to his village not as a hero in shining armor, but as proof that greatness doesn't come in a flash. It's carved slowly, like wood, with every swing of effort, every drop of sweat, and every silent morning when the world is still asleep. He started a school for young workers, teaching them the value of discipline, patience, and consistency. One day, a boy asked him, "Sir, how will I know if I'm on the right path?" Aarav placed a hand on the boy's shoulder and said, "If you're doing your best every single day, even when no one's watching, then trust me, you're already on it." Success is not about sudden leaps. It's about small steps taken every day. The power of consistency can transform an ordinary life into an extraordinary one.